So let's talk about the market. So you made a great point, and you run a great video series, Move Smartly. Okay,
Thank you. Yeah.
and you talk about the realities of the real estate market today. And you made a point that there are some houses are actually sort of selling on multiple bids. Like everything's offered under market. Like that's a universal truth today.
Yeah.
Every single place is offered under market. Yeah, because I guess what happened over 2 years of putting the list price at what the seller actually wanted to get after 2 years of dismal failure doing that. Everybody woke up and said, well, let's really mark the listing down and not accept any of those offers if it goes into this. So that's the new thing. But you have suggested that there are some houses that attract real interest and get real prices. So let's talk about where they are.
So, and I did this video because we have our own clients looking downtown.
Sure.
And they're looking in like areas that I live in, Leslieville, Riverdale, downtown, Bloor West Village. And they go to look at a home, and homes are selling with bully offers. And like for people who don't understand what a bully is, I mean, it's insane that still talk about that now. It's like
it's crazy,
a home that has an offer date set.
Yeah. And
rather than waiting till the offer date, someone shows up 2 days after it's on the market, offers a ton of cash, not like 5 years ago, but pays over asking to try to get the home. And the seller accepts it. And on offer nights, homes are getting 5, 6, 7, 8 bids. And yes, it's because they're priced low, but the pricing low only works in areas that are competitive. Price a dog crate condo $100,000 or $200,000 below market value, no one's going to care. There's not going to be 10 bidders.
They just don't want it.
There's no 10 bidders on that property. You know what I mean?
No.
So these are niche areas. Like downtown for the most part, from like the beaches to Bloor West Village. These areas are usually busy. I find what's happening this year seemed odds to me because, they were busier than the rest of the market last year. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the market was busier last year. Okay. And what struck me as odd is the rest of the market is slower this year, but these areas are more competitive than last year.
So let's break that down because you do make great points about it. We got to realize that these are exclusively areas where people who live there or wish to live there represent the top 10 or 15% of Canadian income.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part,
Exactly, because they're expensive areas.
Yeah. But they're also critically have a cachet and a relationship to downtown office work.
Yeah.
Right? More people are going back to the office. We know this. The bank, particularly, where the money is in Canada, let's face it, the banks,
yes,
the big insurance companies, the big law firms, the big consulting firms, like the traditional group of people who have always been the top tier incomes in Ontario.
Yeah.
And now there just comes, if those sales have been not, I wouldn't say suppressed, but not as busy as normal. Obviously, when there's 20-year lows, they're not as busy as normal. But there's always a favored street. There's always a street in a favorite neighborhood that in the right school district, that if that house comes up, there's a bunch of people who are interested.
Absolutely.
Because they have the money.
Exactly. They're not constrained by what's going on in the market. But, again, I think these are just the outliers. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about, the market outside of that is actually insanely slow. Both for condos and for most houses. These areas are the few outliers. And I think it's just like this quirk. Like we just happen to start the year with an above average number of people looking in these areas. And the market's going to go back to normal.
Yeah, we have the same exposure to that too in our brokerage, in our mortgage brokerage, is that some people will come to us and say, hey, you're always talking about not buying. Wait another 6 months, but like I have a very specific school district I want to live in it's in a very specific part of town. And I've been looking for a long time, not aggressively, but I've been thinking about it. And if I wanted, I think I can sell my house relatively easy because I'm in a sort of a similar area.
Yeah.
I just want a bigger home because my kids are getting bigger. I mean, it's that kind of a exactly precise story.
Correct. Yeah.
Not to those people, I say, well, just go buy it then. Okay. Like there's the family income is like $900,000.
Yeah.
Like they're sophisticated people. They're making $900,000 a year.
Yeah.
Puts them in the top 1.5% of all income earners in Canada.
Exactly.
And if you want to buy that house, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. You have, by the way, they're going to put like, $1.5 million down. Okay.
Exactly.
Because their investments have done well. So what can I tell you? So for those people, sure, that exists. But to your point, like condos are still preposterously dead.
Yeah,
right?
very slow, very slow. Condo market sluggish, very few viewings. No one cares. Like it's so wild how like the sentiment and the mindset has shifted in 3 or 4 years. From this obsession with buying real estate, buying condos. Everyone's just like, I don't really. And it's funny because I remember when I was younger, I used to talk to my dad about, he'd tell me these stories about the housing market back in the 80s and the 90s, and I remember him
1990,
telling me,
that's the time, 1990.
I remember him telling me like in the 90s, after the frenzy when the market had plummeted, he's like, it didn't, at that point, it didn't matter what people priced at. Like the sentiment was like, who cares? Like if I wait, it's just gonna be lower tomorrow. And that's like the sentiment on the ground with a lot of people. And that's why there's just not a lot of activity.
So now that we're in like year 3 of this like catastrophic Dog Creek condo crash in 416, like there's just so many horrible things have come to light. Like because when you and I look at the layouts of these places,
terrible, yeah,
and the facilities are terrible, and the garbage chute doesn't work. It's only a year old.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and there's some of these condos have floods on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
Okay, like there's just so because. I guess ultimately it's true. Like if a market is based on frenzy, maybe the builder doesn't do such a good job.
Exactly. They don't have to worry as much about it. People are just going to buy whatever off of floor plans, right? And listen, again, I wonder what the market is going to look like for those buildings in the future. You have buildings, tall buildings, where the average square footage size is like 600 square feet.
Or less.
The average. So these are all small units, which is probably, this building is almost always going to be an investor-owned building.
Pure tenants,
right? Because this person who wants a unit to live in is typically looking in a smaller building, larger layouts, 2 bedrooms, completely different types of property. So I wonder, like a lot of these, seriously 1 bedroom or studio buildings, they're probably gonna be the most vulnerable, I think, over the next couple of years.
Is ghettos of the future too cruel?
I worry about that. Maybe not, because people used to say that about City Place. And like, listen, City Place back, it doesn't feel like a ghetto right now. I mean,
no,
some of the buildings, they don't. They were worried
it's ghetto adjacent in some ways, but
right? So who knows?
And things do go wrong with the plumbing, and
of course,
and there's some issues. There are some issues.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones, and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.